critical aspects of deploying AI, and I hope you'll enjoy it. And I'll start with introducing Equinix guests around this dinner table. So please introduce yourselves and what you do, starting with Per.
Thank you so much, Regina, and thank you so much for a very insightful day here. My name is Per Hillertz. I'm working at AstraZeneca. I have the role of site lead of AstraZeneca for the IT in Gothenburg at one of AstraZeneca's 5 R&D centers around the world. I'm really excited to be here because we really need these technologies and developments to help the patients out there and for us to drive research and reach out to the patients around the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hanna Weidenberg. I work at Dell Technologies as a leader of our solution architects within the infrastructure portfolio, and also acting AI lead. So out talking quite a lot about AI as a whole, but also the infrastructure that's required to drive AI platforms. Working very closely with all three here at the table.
And Isabella.
Yes, my name is Isabella Holmberg, and I'm the partner manager for the Nordics. And I'm also covering all our AI factories, data centers, and so on, because that is the ground that we need to have to accelerate our kind of software that we're going to share today.
And you're heading the Nordics at a quite well-known brand, which I think you actually dropped, namely NVIDIA.
NVIDIA, yes, I'm from NVIDIA.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you all for being here, and I hope you'll like this conversation. I'll start with you, Hanna. What would you say are 3 questions an enterprise or company needs to consider in going from strategies in AI to deployment?
We talked about so many aspects of deploying or running an AI platform and deploying AI today, and some of the bigger questions outside of even choosing the right models, the right infrastructure. So from my point of view, I would say the primary things we talk about with customers is choosing the right use cases. But in doing that, even though you need to have some kind of innovation forum where you gather people from around the business, the use cases come from the business, the value is to be delivered to the business. And with that, organizing those kind of dialogues across the business. When you have use cases that are valid, where you see some kind of value, also theme them. So group the kind of use cases that you have. That means that you can get if you start to implement a use case with high value, but it's easy to implement, for example, you could scale that to actually include a use case that's of lower value, but it will be part of what you actually develop for that first use case, for example. Very important thing. To actually be able to scale and actually to be able to put it into production as well. The other things is collaborate and co-create, so working with partners in the industry, public sector as well, partners like yourself at Equinix, so co-location type partners, in order to actually get the best type of output depending on where you're running your AI load, but also depending on where you have your data today. And that data question is the third question. Where do you have your data? Where do you run it today? Where do you have it today? Where do you want to run your training of your models? Where do you want to run that AI platform? And where do you actually want to make use of the output? So how do you organize that and get control of that and be able to utilize the data across that entire spectrum?
Thanks. Per, where would you say AstraZeneca are in the critical aspects that Hanna describes? Where are you in that journey?
That's a very good question. We want to do a lot, and we are focusing heavily. We are building teams that can utilize the facilities that you provide, that we around the table here, and you in the audience here drive. We have examples where we locally can gather the data from the tests we do, but to scale that globally, like you said, Hanna here, that is a challenge. So in the previous talk in the morning, Regina, you talked about that local versus global, and to take the data from the local version to the global one. That's still to be done, I would say, and that's a challenge we sit on, especially in the healthcare sector.
And Isabella, as NVIDIA, I'm sure you meet many of the industries in these questions. Would you add anything that stands out in the ones that are successful and the ones that are first movers?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's very critical to have a great platform, a great infrastructure to actually access the right data for driving models, to giving access to the, to different workloads and so on. And a really funny thing is that a lot of people think that we are a hardware company with GPUs, CPUs, and that kind of things, but we are not. 76% of our engineers and developers, they are software engineers. So that is actually what we're focusing on in our layover. So we need to have a good platform, and then we have something we call NVIDIA AI Enterprise, and then we have names with different applications where we can help and support AstraZeneca from different kind of levels that we're already doing and what we love to do as well.
I can just build on that. Sorry to interrupt here, but I myself, I'm something, what I did my PhD in is something called protein crystallography. It's like making crystals. It sounds weird. But what you do is you take out protein from your body and you put it into cells and you grow them. Oh, sorry. That have been done for quite a few years. And in the 1970s, the DNA spiral, I don't know if you, Watson and Crick got the Nobel Prize for that, to create such a structure. Then they decided on the data structure. Since then, we have followed that data structures for so many years. And now, if I would have continued to be a protein crystallographer, I might not have a job, because now we have AlphaFold, who got the Nobel Prize this year in chemistry, to take these standards, these data standards, and the models that you, NVIDIA, help us to drive forward and can scale them. So in the lab, you can actually reduce costs, and you can make science much, much faster. So earlier, there was a number like $100,000 per such structure. Now you can do it in a few milliseconds. That's cool, right? Isn't it?
It is cool, and this is value creation, right?
Yeah.
In reality, we talked this morning about hype versus value.
Yeah.
But you see the value in your daily job.
Definitely, yes. So to your question, if we're good or bad, I'm not sure. We are where we are. We need to work forward.
Excellent. One aspect in the discussion that I know we're all passionate about around this table is how well Sweden and the Nordics is doing in preparing ourselves. So this morning we touched upon that, but Hanna, how would you rate Swedish preparedness and performance in AI infrastructure and development?
I think, like it's been talked about quite a bit during the day, and with partners like yourself, I think we have the infrastructure, as in the hardware infrastructure, the collaborations with the right people, the NVIDIA being in country, all of those aspects I think we've filled. The primary thing in Sweden is we're not actually getting going. So we see a lot of POCs, we see a lot of pilots. We're not seeing the scaling of our capacities or of our solutions and the value that we want to reap out of this. And I think to a large degree it has to do with not being, so we talked about this previously today as well, the collaboration between different organizations like ourselves, but also with public sector. So the government needs to actually support these kind of initiatives. They need to be investing in these kind of infrastructures. So the data centers or the AI platforms we're building, probably not quite there, but the basis is here. We just need to invest, and government needs to be part of it, as private companies need to be part of it. Or we don't have the platform for the researchers to do what they need to do. They need to be able to investigate long term, but not just look at the short term benefits, and then actually for all of us in Sweden to actually reap the benefits of those findings and discoveries. So collaboration, private, public sector, much more mandate, but also structure from a governmental perspective on driving this kind of development because we're lagging behind. Yeah, we talked about the Global AI Index, where we, from 2023, Sweden fell from a position of, we were in place 17, and now we're in place 25 in the Global AI Index, which basically is a measurement of how mature, how developed it is in the country, which is a huge drop. And our the AI strategy of the country, that was positioned in place 57 out of 82 countries that were actually looked at.
Isabel, I know you feel strongly about this too. What's your commitment here?
Yeah, I mean, on a personal level, I have always said that I believe so much in the Nordic countries. I mean, we have really, really cool companies here from a private and a public sector, and we have the willingness to do these kind of things. And when I read the report, I read it 2 times, the AI Commission report, just to don't miss anything, and I saw the numbers that we have lagged behind, and I said to myself that when we are in top 3 in the Nordics, in Sweden, I can go in pension. But when Mr. Svanberg said that, yeah, we can never come to number 5, then I just like, okay, I will never go in pension. But the thing is that the technology is out there. So how we choose to use the technology in this room with all of us here, it's us that building this ecosystem to build a better future for the next generation. And I mean, that will sculpture how we will live in 5, 10, 15 years. So this is something that we together in an ecosystem needs to. But after reading this report, I actually got a lot of high hopes, to be honest, because we need to believe in this. We need to do this. Otherwise, we have nothing else. So I believe that we can do it. And again, we have done it before, as he also said. And from NVIDIA side, we're so into this and really would like to make Sweden and the Nordic countries as a very strong countries in this region for doing this. Yeah.
Your industry is cutting edge somehow. You are forward-leaning. What do you think is the reason to the lagging behind? What are the other industries lacking or not doing right that life science and healthcare is doing right?
Oh, that's a hard question. You need to try with these models and scale them. We have, as a company, but as an industry, we are built on data. We need to prove that a medicine is safe and effective. It's a structure of data, and to take that data into these models, there's no choice not to do it. And if you then can combine it with some economy, and even economy of scale, that's important. And the number I said was just for this protein crystals, these 3D structures. But there are so many early screening in cancer treatment, etc., that's yet to be done. And I think the pharma industry is good because we need to be good. I think that's there is a lot to gain for other industries as well to try a little bit more. I do want to highlight something. We're actually running a hackathon here in the spring. I can send it out the link later. But if you're interested to meet some of these triers, I'll join it.
I can fill in there. We see that I think you should just start small because it's very massive that we would like, we have a strategy, we have a budget, and we would like to do AI. And then it's just like a massive kind of things. But just starting small and scale, doing the way that you have done it in AstraZeneca is just amazing to see. I mean, we're running a couple of things as well together, especially one of my kind of key questions, or how to say it, is especially in the healthcare, because the technology can actually do so much things. For example, when we're going into, if I'm going to a doctor and my feet is hurting and wherever, I get penicillin, the same penicillin as everyone else for 10 or 14 days. But it doesn't matter if I'm having this age, I'm this tall, and this is my weight, and what kind of infections do I have. It doesn't really matter. I just get the same penicillin anywhere. But with the right technology now, we can actually start doing those kind of things together, having the right penicillin and so on.
Yeah.
And that is something that I think is very important because of we see the resistant bacteria and so on. So it's a question of heart from my side. How can we build strong societies with the right technology? Because it's out there, I said it before. It's just like, how do we bring it in?
We all agree in this, like I said, this is a common denominator between us at the panel. But Hannah, why are we slow, you think? We are a technology nation. Like you said, we've created many strong technology companies. We have a history in adapting to technology. What's your theory of why we're lagging and dropping in AI ranking?
There's some things that we've touched on here that I think that has to do with right sizing, starting small. You can start small, start scaling once you're kind of ready for that, which I don't think that there's been a lot of talk the past 2 years about that big AI platform, the big move into utilizing AI. We put AI in our goals for organizations. Like, we're going to use AI, but AI is not the goal. AI is a method. Use it for the right things, like you're doing. No, but it's truly about finding that value for your organization. The primary thing in finding that value is knowing the data that you have. Again, you have so much data. It describes your organization. That's the one thing that you have in an organization. That is actually your USP. Can you say that in English as well? USP. Unique selling point, yes. Because that describes you and what value you bring to your business and your customers as well. It can be very challenging to find the right data within that data set. Where does it lie? What's the quality of the data? What's the most updated data? So that's the kind of work that you truly need to do in the long run.
And the previous speaker here, the previous mentioned the kind of education trip here as well.
Yes.
So I think that's something we could be a little or much better at actually in Sweden, to try out early in the universities, to when the data is there. You don't need to have big data sets. Try the ones you have, and then learn to structure that data going forward. Because when you then come out in the industry, you're going to have this with you. We have been pushing for data stewardship indications at universities, etc. I think that's super important. Then you can get it structured, and then will come. When you have the data, then you need what we have seen here today presented, all of these capabilities to drive the future of GPUs and the compute capabilities of the future.
And maybe this is one of the tech evolution projects that is not with the CTO or CIO, but to create value, again, like you're doing, Per, you need to have the company involved because it's a data architecture, it's a value stream discussion. It's not a closed meeting at the CIO or CTO office. And I know you reflected on your CEO's point of view.
Yeah, definitely. It's super critical that we need to we need to get the whole organization with us here. From the early scientists in the lab who can think of, can I do this a little bit differently with calculating? For example, then we have developed models to instead of making compounds, it's quite expensive chemistry, and how can you predict these compounds with the models we have? And yes, we can actually save money, but even more importantly, we can get them to the patients faster. And that's the view of the CEO. They don't care. He doesn't care if it's actually how we calculate that. It's to get it out, get the result out quicker. So yes.
We're getting closer and closer to Christmas. If you guys could wish for one thing in our common passion about getting Sweden and Nordics firmer on the right track towards AI nations, what would your Christmas wish be, Isabella?
Ooh. I need to choose one. No, but I think it's just like, I have said it before, I said it earlier, start small. just start and scale and fail fast. And it's just like, that's how we start. I mean, it's the same thing by starting a company. You don't start being at the biggest one directly. You're starting small and then you scale. It's the same with AI. Just start and take help from each other. Use the ecosystem that sits on this table, but also out here. It's us that building the kind of next future here. So take the help and ask. It's not a stupid question. I'm asking things every day because in our industry and at my company I'm coming from, the technology I learned yesterday is all today. So I need to be on the forefront all the time, which is what I'm also passionate about, the new technology. So start small and scale. It's my wish for all of you.
Per, what's your wish?
I think that I've seen so many exponential curves here today on the screen. I think we should have a moonshot initiative and really gather here. Sweden should be high on this list. I do think that the AI Commission report is pretty good, and having a few of these scenarios in there. Set the moonshot and we'll work on it together here, because there's these curves that I've seen, they will take us there. It's just a matter, is Sweden the one to drive that? I think so.
Yeah.
And Hannah?
There's, like Isabella was saying, one? No, but I'm guessing there's quite a few leaders in here, independent on where you are as a leader in your organization. We as leaders need to be embracing AI or this kind of new technology and utilizing it to bring value to our organizations. And that means possibly freeing up an hour per week for your team and other teams to within the organization to co-create, collaborate, ensure that they can reach out to partners, to suppliers out in the industry, to gain ideas, to elaborate on different types of outcomes, use cases, because that's kind of the way that AI will not reshape, it will not just improve the processes we have today. They will reshape how we do business. And if you allow that kind of innovation capacity and capability within organizations and take help from us who's kind of in the middle of it, even though we're not quite where we would like to be in the society, I think that's the only way forward, the collaboration and these kind of conversations and bringing as much information to you and your organization as you can and bring it to the high level as well. Educate your leadership team.
Thank you.
They need to know what it is.
So if I dare to summarize, we're in agreement on that we're unfortunately not where we want to be as a nation in terms of AI, nor is the Nordics. However, we're positive and we believe in our country's ability. And by starting small, but having high ambitions and co-create and collaborate, we think we will see a difference in a year's time. Let's check in a year's time.
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you all for listening, and thank you to the panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.